Contrary to popular belief, what's not a bad thing? Being single, and being okay with being single, and not constantly looking for a relationship. How to tell that to my psyche? Not knowing something. It's not shameful to admit it. Okay, but I was 17 and didn't know pepperoni was a meat. Edit. Since people won't stop asking. I just never thought about it before. Did you think it was a pepper? A little pepper. Pepper on sinis. Curious children. That's like the best thing for a child to be because they want to learn the facts and form their own opinions. But parents act as if they are like inappropriate or annoying. Curiosity in general, not just in children, is looked down upon, I think. Political leaders admitting they are wrong and doing a U-turn. I agree, though it seems that political leaders that admit are wrong or change position tend not to be political leaders for long. Because they lose party support and political cachet. That's a shortcoming of the electorate. What's not a bad thing? Being a voter and acknowledging your elected representatives can make mistakes, and that shouldn't necessarily mean they are unable to do their job. That said, certain mistakes are politically unforgivable. Asking for help. I'm so bad at this. I'm far too stubborn to ever admit I need help at anything ever. It's comedic to S point, but it's definitely a legit problem I have. Not being into social media doesn't mean you are behind the times. It's a choice. Something about people not knowing everything about me and what I'm doing in my life is very peaceful to me. Saying no when someone asks you to do something that they are entirely capable of doing. Disappointing your parents or friends by your life decisions. Usually, they come around in time when they see what you chose is what makes you happy and that is what they really wanted in the end anyway. It can be an uncomfortable wait until that time comes, but it is shorter and feels better than a lifetime of regret. Or not. Some people are narcissistic pieces of shit who will never forgive you for choosing the wrong option. Yeah, like my dad who hasn't spoken to me since I was 16 as he didn't like my boyfriend. I'm now 31, 3 kids deep, and married to the same guy. Still doesn't speak to me. Crazy. Putting your own happiness before the expectations of your family. Edit. I'm going to clarify that I meant more along the line that you shouldn't allow the expectations from family members like parents / grandparents / uncles / aunts etc to get in the way of what makes you happy. I kept the comment more open-ended, since situations can differ wildly, and different people can have different reasons for feeling this way, so I didn't want to be too specific. This issue came up today, and I'm glad I've just seen your comment. Almost like it was meant for me. Thank you. Breakups. Sometimes it's better to end things instead of trying to hold a failing relationship together. Edit. Thanks for all the great replies to my simple comment, as well as the awards. I got broken up with by my first real GF on New Year's and all these comments have helped me see that life will move on, and I'm not alone. May we all have better luck this year. In my divorce group there was a saying, there are plenty of failed marriages where the parties are still together. I got divorced years ago. I can't imagine this last year if we were forced to be in the same house with no break due to COVID. I sometimes hear my neighbors having screaming fights and I realize there are worse things than being alone. Somebody who changes their beliefs. Know better. Do better. Right? There's a lot of things I used to believe or think when I was younger and more sheltered than I currently think. Age and experience change perceptions and I think that's healthy in most cases. I've heard a bunch of people spouting off recycling isn't worth it. It is even worse for the environment than just throwing it away. Apostrophe. This is case of hearing something correct and just blanket applying it to everything. There are certain things that are undeniably better to recycle, specifically metals. And for glass and paper there are ways to make it environmentally positive. Plastics are the hardest due to contamination, but we can make it better as well as reduce single-use plastics. Yes, corporations tricked us into believing recycling was the key to fixing the environment. But that doesn't mean that recycling can't be useful. The slogan reduce, reuse, recycle was very deliberate as they put the best ways to help the environment in the order it's most effective. I really wish I could bring my old plastic tequila containers to my local Chinese place, like I take reusable bags to the grocery. I try reusing them, but they last forever, so I have way more containers than I would ever use. Gaming for a couple, edit, few hours straight. If you enjoy doing it and don't neglect your life, there really is no difference to binge watching something or reading a book. I never realized how cool video games are until I started dating my BF. He mostly plays story-driven games and they're really fun to watch. Feel like interactive movies. My husband and I are both gamers, met in an online game. Close bracket. We prefer PC, but if there's a console game that seems interesting, we build a nest on the floor with blankets and snacks and I'll play while he's watching. Some story games have more than one playable character. Men of Medan, Until Dawn, and we take turns. It's so much fun. Edit. Oh man. Just woke up lol. Thanks guys. Admitting you're wrong. Semicolon. Edit. Since I guess some people aren't understanding. I'm not saying it's a popular belief to be willfully refusing to admit wrongdoing. I'm saying people are too prideful to do so. Right curly bracket. You don't even have to admit to the person that you are wrong, but admit to yourself and make something out of it. I feel like getting into an argument with someone will lessen the chances of you changing their opinion. Their pride kicks in and suddenly they don't want to change their opinion, only to prove you wrong. On the other hand, if you talk to them calmly and really try to understand why they think that way, you can tackle the problem at its core without them feeling attacked. Defending yourself against a customer who is extremely rude. I didn't know until about a week ago that the saying "the customer is always right" is actually supposed to be "the customer is always right" in matters of taste. If you have a customer that is a duck, it is plenty okay to tell them to duck off. You don't want them as a customer anyways. I just started firing customers from my business a couple years ago, and what I know, firing those 5 to 10 customers has made me enjoy my job immensely more. One of the nice things about working in hotels is most have a do not rent list. It's just a list of people we've decided we don't want to deal with anymore for one reason or another. Sometimes they're a destructive drunk. Sometimes they're just a dick. Using a credit card. If you're sensible and ensure it's paid off at the end of every month, there are many perks. Cash back, air miles etc. I'll take things I didn't want to learn or accept until I was 34 $500. Alex. Yeah, it took me till 25 to get a credit card. My dad had gotten into some credit card debt and it hurt his credit by making bad choices, and I believe was a strain on the family. I was worried I would end up in too much debt, like you hear people doing. I finally got one to travel with, and I have never not paid it off, and got a decent amount of cash back since then. Turns out I'm responsible. Contentment. I not only don't need an exciting life, I actively don't want one. One of my friends loves to travel and do crazy shit. Scuba diving, swimming with sharks, going on days long backpacking trips. Not at all for me. She cannot fathom the fact I don't care for travel. Edit. A lot of people are homing in on the travel thing. I'm really just using that as an example of living excitingly. I truly just mean anything that gives off a rush. Not for me. If you are already happy where you are, there's no need to introduce sharks into the mix. Edit. Well, that's a first. Failure. I worked for a white-collar criminal defense firm for many years. Many of our clients would have saved themselves from criminal charges merely by letting their businesses fail. I believe that knowing how to fail should be taught as part of MBA programs. That's the prologue to Fargo. Being basic in the sense that you have likes and hobbies similar to a group of people. No mom. Yeah, basic. And that's okay. Elena Shellstrop, The Good Place. I love seeing references to this show after recently finishing it. And if you remove the "and that's okay," whomever you use this on will be very devastated. The stigma behind talking about your pay with fellow coworkers. In the States it is legal. By talking about your wages you help ensure you and co-workers are being paid fairly. Edit. I made an oopsie. I think it was understood, but what I mean is, you should talk about your wages. At my old job, a manager for another site who was visiting my location tried to scold me for asking my coworker how much she makes when she made a comment about not getting paid enough. He said it's illegal and super inappropriate. We were teenagers working at a car wash. Literally nobody would care if we discussed our pay, and it's actually, from what I've heard, illegal to try to prevent people from talking about their pay in the US. Disliking your family. If your family always have been a bunch of assholes to you, what is the sense of even having respect for them? This one hits me for maximum damage. Glad to hear I'm not alone. Me 3. Toxic is toxic and I'm not having it. Giving up. Sometimes giving up is the best thing you can do. Gotta know when to hold M. And when to fold M. Know when to walk away. Know when to run. But when shouldn't I be counting my money? Well, not at the table. Obviously. Being alone. It's far less stressful than having other people around. I wish I was like this, but for me being alone for too long leads me to feeling lonely, depressed and unfulfilled. Breaking tradition. It's important to question why we do things and not just go along with it because it's been like that for years. Peer pressure from dead people. Being ordinary. I second this. We are not all main characters in a movie, and that's perfectly fine, as long as we're content with our lives. Wikipedia. People who discredit Wikipedias because their high school teacher said it's not good are really simple. Not being super ambitious about your work/career. My job is a means to an end. I enjoy it sometimes, but at the end of the day it's not something I enjoy doing in my free time. It's just something that has a good wage and I don't mind doing it. This is me. I don't love it, but it's a very short commute, a decent wage, and I work my shifts over 4 days so have a 3-day weekend every week. I could leave for more money elsewhere, but the benefits of time are more important to me. As cliche as it is, life was made to be lived. For some people, that means committing to a career and working their ass off doing something they love. That's fine. But some people only work so they can live, and that is also totally fine. You gotta do you. According to someone close to me, not having an opinion about something important to them is being rude and inconsiderate. I just think that I don't care about what they care about. It isn't important or offensive to me, so I don't care about it one bit. I'm not sure how to categorize this, but this bugs me about people. Death isn't always a bad thing. There's a lot of people who suffer with degenerative illnesses or are in extreme pain every day of their lives. I saw this happen to my granddad after he had a brain tumor. By the end it was for the best that he passed away. Obviously untimely deaths are sad, but sometimes you need to accept that being alive and truly living are two different things. I'll never understand how it's perfectly fine to decide on euthanasia for your suffering pet, but illegal for yourself. Getting a full night's sleep every night and also having a good work/life balance. The two thing not being entirely unconnected. I would say that getting efficient and good sleep, enough REM and deep sleep every night is essential to being able to work more and do more things. Just like diet is essential, your mind is just biological as well. Its health and resistance to stress and fortitude can be increased by your body being more resilient and stronger as well. Going to dinner or a movie alone. Update. Holy shit. Who old known. So many people like being alone. ? Thanks for the awards and upvotes everyone. I love going to movies alone. Especially at weird times. You can have the whole theater to yourself pretty easily. Absolutely. A few years ago, when they re-released Jurassic Park in theaters, I went to a very late showing and got the whole theater to myself. It was glorious. GMO in food. Without GMOs, corn wouldn't be edible. Watermelons would have way less flesh. Bananas would be vastly different. If you hate artificial banana flavor, you'd hate OG bananas. Certain crops would yield far less and would much more susceptible to disease. livestock would be far more expensive and less available. This could actually be a really good thing in reality. But at the time, meat being readily available was a huge game changer. Using violence to defend yourself or others. It's sad that it comes to that, but if someone is hell-bent on causing you harm, and your only choice is to use violence to stop them, it's not bad. It's sad that, if you get into a fight at any school and you defend yourself, you also get in trouble. Hey PSSST. Please subscribe and like.